Good morning everyone. Today we will start class 6 social science class history, and the name of the chapter you already know: what, where, how and when. So in this chapter we have already know what, where and how history were written. Now today we learn about the rest of the question: when history was written and how we can assess the dates. And the name of the subunit is one, past or many. So in this class, you have to know first the name of the book. Our name of the book is Our Past. Our Pasts. So it is plural. It is not past, it is pasts. Why it is pasts? Because it is not the story or not the history of only me or you. It is the history or it is the story of all the people living in the world. They are from different backgrounds, from social backgrounds, religious backgrounds, the political backgrounds, and they are living in different countries and different situations. How these situations are different, we will learn in this subunit, and we also learn how we can assess the dates. So first, I give you some examples that the past was different for different groups of people. This is the first point. So in this case, you have to understand that how the life of different people in different parts of a country, and depending on their social status, are different. Suppose the king's and queen's life is totally different from the life of farmers. So if we try to write the history of a king's and queen's life, so the history and the surroundings, the social society and the equipments and all these surroundings are totally different from a farmer's. If we wanted to write a farmer's history, so about the farmer's life, then everything also different, and we cannot find any match between the two different groups of the society. So the king's and queen's life are totally different than the life of farmer. Then when we write the history of a king, we should find those equipments and those sources are available and for the kings, and we can collect history from the stories of kings. But in the farmer's case, we have to use those archaeological evidences and equipments that used by those farmers. Next one, the people followed different practices and customs in different parts of the country. So maybe all the people living in one country, but in this case there is a big difference, because those people, though they are living in the same country, their practices and customs are different, because they belong to different social, religious, political and economic backgrounds. Suppose I give you an example that the people in Andaman Islands, it is a small island, that is a part of India right now. So people living in the Andaman Islands, most of them are gathered their foods from a long period with hunting, gathering, agriculture and also fishing. Okay, because agricultural land is very few, so that's why most of them are living on collecting food from the forests, from fishing from the oceans, and collecting and also gathering fruits and roots from the forests. But those people living in the cities, like big cities like Mumbai, Bengaluru, Kolkata and Delhi, so those people's life are totally different than the life of these Andaman Islands, because most of these people are living in big cities and they are depending on others like farmers, the animal herders, farmers and suppliers for their food. They cannot produce their food on their own, and they buy food from supermarkets or shopping malls or some street market, etc. And they are totally dependent on those people, those suppliers, those farmers, those animal herders for those fishermen for their food. So in this way, the people different because their practices and customs are totally different. That's why their history is also different. If we wanted to write the history of the urban peoples living in the big cities, and we wanted to write the history of the people living on the small islands in Andaman and Nicobar, their histories are totally different. And another tribe living in the Andaman Islands, they are totally secluded from the modern society. Most of them are living in a life of hunter-gatherers, and they have not learned anything from the modern society. They are living in a small island named Sentinel. So those people are called Sentinel. So the Sentinelese, this island is totally detached from the outside world, and they don't know the modern aspects of the society. They are living as well as same as the people living 10,000 years ago. So this is the vast differences. If we want to write the history of these peoples, then their sources and the people living in the cities will be totally different. So number 3, we know about the kings and their battles from their inscription and books. So most of the cases we have learned about the story of the kings and queens from their inscriptions or their chronicles. They have inscribed something on some rock or some pillars or in some manuscripts. But those people, those ordinary people at that time did not keep records. They don't know how to read and write. So how do we know the history of those people? So archaeologists and historians helps us to find out about them from the archaeological evidences. Yes, the archaeological evidences like their tools, their weapons, their utensils, and the bodily remains of these people, from their tombs, etc. So in this way, so we have seen that differences are very important when we search history. Okay, now we'll start with our next subunit. It is, what do dates mean? So what do dates mean means from where we have found all the dates. So first take today's date. Today's date is 5th May 2020. So if we write in date, month, year format, it will be looks like 05/05/2020, 2020. So in these dates, the 2020 is a year. It denotes the year. But where this 2020 comes from? Do you know? Yes. So why not we are writing here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Why we are writing 2020? Actually, we are started counting all these years. This process is called Christian calendar. So this Christian calendar we started from the birth of Jesus Christ. You know that Jesus Christ is born 2020 years ago, and he spread the religion named Christianity, and it is the most popular religion in the world. So Jesus Christ born in which year? That year we take as 0. And after the birth of Jesus Christ, we calculate these years, and today it is 5th May 2020, means that we are now 2020 years after the birth of Jesus Christ. And we use some terminologies to indicate the years just forward the birth of Jesus Christ. So with the abbreviation AD. So what is the meaning of AD? AD means Anno Domini. Anno Domini means in the year of the Lord. Anno Domini is a Latin phrase, and in the year of the Lord, Lord means the Jesus Christ. So from the birth year of Jesus Christ, we have started calculating the Anno Domini. It is also denotes as CE. What is CE? The full form CE is Common Era, because in most of the countries they accepted this calendar, this Christian calendar, and that's why it's called Common Era or CE. Now those years that was backward of the birth of Jesus Christ. So all these years just on the backward side of the birth of Jesus Christ denotes as BC or before Christ. Sometimes it's called also before Common Era, because we started Common Era from 0 AD, 1 AD. So before 1 AD everything 0, it's called, denotes as before Common Era. And and if I give you an example that in your book you have mentioned that you know that 2500 years ago the first kingdoms established on the bank of river Ganga. So it is 2500 years ago. So if today is 2020, means 0 to 2020, it is 2020 years. So 2020 years and more 500 years. So how many years ago? So if we so someone asked us, so what is the date, on which date the kingdoms established on the bank of river Ganga? It is 500 before Christ or 500 BC. Okay, sometimes this BC also people also tell that it is BP, means before present. Because today is the present 2020, so before present means it's also denotes at BP. So some people also denotes BC as BP or before present. So this is the process of calculating all the dates. So this type of diagrams is called time scale. Okay, so that's all from the what do dates mean. So I hope you have understood how dates works in the case of history, and how historians just find out the time of any incident with the help of all this. Thank you for watching, and next class we'll go for the question answer.